Alright, the fender's done. It's finished off with 100. It's all clean. The metal is in really good shape, and I'm just about to hit it with some pre-clean. I went along using a piece like this for these spots inside the edges that have a little touch of paint still left in them. These work fantastic. Scotch-Brite pads are just your best friend when dealing with those little rounded corners that are a little tricky to get inside of, and these back ends. Remember, don't spend a lot of time on these with your orbital sanders or any power sander. Just enough to maybe knock the clear coat and color down. Once you see, if you're going down to the metal like we are here, once you see metal, don't spend much more time on it. That's done, and you won't deform the metal. All right, I'm going to clean it up a little bit, blow a coat of primer or two, and this will be ready for a wet sand. After this hardens up, it'll be ready for a 400 grit wet sand, and after that, somewhere between 400 and 600, you can lay a base coat of color on this, and you're off to the races. Okay, we'll continue. Just finished it off with a cleaning of pre-clean, and it's outside. It's not the best conditions to do it, but I've seen worse. So let's just lay a coat of primer. When you lay this out, go quickly. Don't stay in any one spot. Let the trigger off after every end. So as you come off, let off your trigger, then go back on. Let off, let on, let off, let on. And you'll be in pretty good shape. Just need to get the base coat on. Remember, you're not looking to coat this all at one shot. Just get a thin layer of primer on it. Go very quickly over the job. If it's a little rough, it's fine. All this is doing is providing a surface for which your paint can adhere to, and which you can sand out a little bit and remove all the scratches that you just put in it by sanding. Remember, we sanded with an 80 and down to 100. 100 is still a very coarse grit. This is 100, and it's really coarse compared to how the inevitable result is going to be, that high gloss, beautiful finish that you see. You're certainly not going to achieve it finishing off your metal at 100 unless you put something over it to fill in those very fine swirls, and that's exactly what this does. And it allows you to sand it. Primer is a key for actually ending up with a decent paint job, even if it's out of a can. So we'll let this dry for a while, and I'll move on to another part of the project. And it's looking good. Yeah, it's looking great. Okay. All right, we'll continue. We're ready to go. This has been cut down to 100. The most tedious part so far in the whole job has been to sand around these little rivets. Those had to be done by hand, so I did, and then finally cut them down a little bit with Scotch-Brite. What I'm going to do now, I've done pre-clean on all of this, and I'm going to go ahead and lay out a coat of primer on the fender, and also I'm going to shoot the rear fender again. So get a few coats on all of this stuff. Okay, we'll continue. Okay, that's it. Everything's in primer. The parts are drying off. The rear fender got another coat. This is just drying its second. I'll throw another one on or two. And all these parts are looking really pretty good for being done outside on a deck. What we're doing now is just getting the rest of the tank into primer, and as I was doing that, this dent came out really nicely. It's really in good shape. So as I was doing it and as I was just prepping it for final primer, I had looked at and seen some other, this is just about ready to go, had seen some other bikes of the Dyna style, and had noticed that a lot of them had the that main console. Oftentimes you'll see a leather console here after the electronic console. You'll see another piece of leather strip that runs down the tank. Many of them had been redone such that that had been taken out. There's a fine weld line here that's on these tanks, so I decided to, while I'm at it, it's only a little bit more work really, to go ahead and take those out using filler. So another few more minutes, that'll harden up and I'll be able to hit it with a piece of block. And going over this way as to bring the sides down, and because it's slightly concave in the middle where that seam is. So as I go over, I'm going to try and create a rounded motion here in a flat, somewhat flat area. Same up top. Take this down. There's a seam that runs all the way down the tank. So we'll take that out, and that way, no matter what I want to do, if no matter what the graphics are here, if I want to keep this open, or even if I want to put the another leather console here, another leather centerpiece there, I can do that as well. So for just a few more minutes worth of work, really, it'll pay off big. Okay, that's where we're at, and we'll have this in primer in just a little while. All the work should only add on maybe another hour or so. Okay, we'll continue. Okay, I've laid down that first layer of putty and sanded it out. It's coarse. I've used the 36 to just get the rough shape. So I have, as you can see, it's as I've gone across like this and also down in a cross pattern. And up as well, but basically a cross pattern and a straight across. On the sides I used a slight up, straight up pattern up to the top, long strokes up to the top on both sides, and this is what came out of it. So one more coat of putty here, I should be able to take care of all of that. That was a pretty deep indentation in the tank. Top one, I'll just do a real light skim coat, even though that looks to be just about it. That'll take a very, very light skim coat, and then I'll just knock that all back, sand it all down again, hit the tank again with the 100, and give it a prime. It's only been a few minutes since I've worked on this, about 20-25 minutes, half hour max. So we'll keep going. Alright, here we are. It's ready to go. All pre-cleaned, sanded down, now at 100, it's at 100 grit. It's all clean. I hit it with pre-clean, and we'll go ahead and get a couple of coats of primer on it and see how that works out. Should come out really nice. Alright, a couple of coats of primer. Tank's looking good. You can see in the light any ripples off the top of the tank. Not seeing any yet, but pretty confident about what we have here. Doing it outside, it's a little windy day and it's cold, so cure time will be different. May end up with a speck of dust in the primer at this stage, but this is before it's being sanded, well before it's being sanded, so it's just really to get an overall look of the contour of the tank and find if there's any places that need maybe more spot filler, or even filler itself, the regular putty filler. But It's looking pretty good. Okay, where we're at right now is I was able to access our body shop. So I'm at the body shop now, and the reason being that while we can do the prep work at home, for the most part, get most of the prep work done at home, you really need a spray booth to do the final paint. We have a booth here at the at our shop. So what I'm doing now is I'm doing the final prep work on the tank. This top side, if you remember this seam that went down the middle, I got it nailed down, but you know, it's still, you can't see it. Well, you can, kind of. See that seam right there? I want that gone. So I'm going to hit it, I'm going to take it down again, do another coat of filler over the top, a real thin coat, and take that down a little bit more and spread it out between the two sides. You can see it a little bit more prominent there. What you see as a shadow is just the shadow of the primer over the putty. It does not dictate what the actual end result is going to be, but only through your hand, feeling it with your hand, you can dictate that. So on each side, you can feel the high spot on either side of your fill, and that's going to make the biggest difference. What you see is one thing, but you let your hands do the talking, and that'll come together nice.